Buckle up because today we're diving into one of the fiercest battles in the luxury coupe world, the Lexus LC versus the Aston Martin Vantage. These two machines don't just compete with engines and horsepower, they go head-to-head in style, prestige, and the pure emotional pull they have on anyone lucky enough to see them on the road. This is not just a car comparison, it's a clash of philosophies. On one side, Japan's meticulous engineering wrapped in bold design, and on the other, Britain's raw tradition of performance, crafted like an automotive piece of art. Let's peel back the layers of both and figure out which one really deserves the crown. The first impression sets the stage, and honestly, neither of these cars enters the room quietly. The Lexus LC is a design statement straight out of the future. Sharp lines, dramatic curves, and that polarizing spindle grille make it impossible to mistake for anything else. It looks sculpted, daring, and futuristic, almost like something out of a concept car show that somehow escaped onto the street. Meanwhile, the Aston Martin Vantage oozes British elegance and muscle. The low-slung stance, wide haunches, and perfectly balanced proportions make it the kind of car you imagine James Bond casually parking outside a casino. Where the Lexus screams modern innovation, the Aston whispers timeless beauty. Choosing between the two is like picking between a high-tech samurai blade and a hand-forged broadsword. Pop the hood, and the story gets even juicier. The Lexus LC 500 packs a naturally aspirated 5-liter V8, pushing out around 471 horsepower. It's not turbocharged, not electrified, just old-school engine magic paired with Lexus refinement. The growl of that V8 is surprisingly raw for a Lexus, almost uncharacteristically aggressive, but it adds to the drama of driving it. The Aston Martin Vantage, however, comes with a 4-liter twin-turbocharged V8 sourced from Mercedes AMG, producing about 503 horsepower in its base form. That's more power, more torque, and a lot more bite. On paper, the Aston wins the spec sheet battle, but in reality, it comes down to how they deliver it. The Lexus builds power progressively, almost teasing you as it climbs to a screaming redline, while the Vantage hits you with a wave of torque that feels brutal and urgent. Now let's talk handling, because this is where these two really start to diverge. The Lexus LC, while undeniably stylish, leans a bit more toward grand touring than outright track performance. It's heavy, over 4,200 pounds, and you feel it when you push it through corners. But Lexus engineers know how to make weight feel composed. The car is planted, smooth, and gives you confidence, but it's not going to deliver the razor-sharp feel of a lightweight sports car. The Aston Martin Vantage, on the other hand, is much more of a driver's weapon. Lighter, more responsive, and tuned with performance as the priority, it thrives on twisty roads and rewards aggressive driving. The steering is precise, the chassis is playful, and it feels alive in a way the Lexus doesn't quite match. If the Lexus is the car you'd want to take on a cross-country road trip, the Aston is the car you'd want to thrash on a mountain pass. Step inside and you'll immediately sense the different philosophies again. The Lexus LC interior is an art gallery on wheels. Everything feels meticulously crafted, from the stitched leather to the sculpted dashboard lines. It's futuristic, almost spaceship-like, with an emphasis on driver-focused design. The seats are supportive, yet luxurious. And the whole cabin feels like Lexus wanted to prove they can make not just a luxury car, but a piece of automotive theater. The Aston Martin Vantage, though, feels more intimate and minimalist. It's sporty, driver-centric, and has that bespoke British vibe. The leather smells rich, the seating position is aggressive, and the overall experience makes you feel like you're in a purpose-built performance machine rather than a luxury lounge. But, and here's the kicker, the infotainment system in the Vantage feels dated since it borrows older tech from Mercedes, while the Lexus, despite being flashy, isn't exactly perfect either. Neither coupe nails the tech game like a German rival would, but they win you over with charm instead of menus and screens. Of course, no showdown is complete without talking numbers. The Lexus LC 500 starts around $100,000. For that, you get an unmistakable design, Lexus reliability, and a naturally aspirated V8 that's becoming rarer every year. The Aston Martin Vantage, on the other hand, starts closer to $145,000, and with options, it can easily push past $160,000. That's a serious jump, but Aston Martin buyers aren't really paying for specs. They're buying into heritage, exclusivity, and the badge that has defined British performance cars for decades. Still, the price gap is wide enough to make anyone question, is the extra prestige worth $40,000 more? Then, there's the ownership factor. Lexus has a reputation for bulletproof reliability. The LC isn't just a luxury coupe, it's a luxury coupe you can daily drive without worrying it'll spend half its life in the shop. That's something Aston Martin has historically struggled with. While the new Vantage is much more reliable than its predecessors, it still carries the reputation of being a temperamental supermodel, breathtaking but demanding, and let's not forget depreciation. The Lexus, while still a niche product, holds its value better than you'd expect, while Aston Martins tend to take a steeper drop after a few years. If you're buying with your heart, the Aston is irresistible. If you're buying with your head, the Lexus starts making a very strong case. But here's the real kicker. These two cars are more than just machines. They represent cultural philosophies. The Lexus LC is proof that Japan can create an emotional, breathtaking luxury coupe without abandoning its obsession with reliability and precision. It's a rare gem that feels futuristic but grounded. The Aston Martin Vantage is about legacy and passion, the embodiment of Britain's handcrafted automotive tradition, refined over decades of building cars meant to stir the soul. They're both incredible, but they serve different masters. So, who wins? The answer depends entirely on who you are. If you want exclusivity, performance, and the feeling of driving something with a racing pedigree baked into its DNA, the Aston Martin Vantage is the obvious choice. But if you value design that looks like a concept car brought to life, an engine that feels like a dying breed, and reliability that ensures you can actually drive your car instead of just admiring it in the garage, the Lexus LC is a jaw-dropping option. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more car battles, and follow along because we've got even bigger showdowns coming your way.